In the ancient tongue of Hebrew, God's name was never a casual word. It was sacred, set apart, so holy that scribes would wash their hands before writing it. Some even refused to say it aloud. That name is YHWH. Yod, He, Vav, He. At first glance, these are just letters, but when you understand what they mean, it will shake your spirit and ignite your soul. Because in that name is not just identity, it's destiny. Not just reverence. The Hebrew language is built on symbols. Each letter is a picture, an idea, a divine whisper. Yod means hand. He is behold, or to reveal. Vav is a nail or a peg. Put that together and what do you get? Behold the hand, behold the nail. Long before the cross, long before Calvary, long before nails pierced through flesh, the name of God already prophesied it. The very essence of his name spoke of redemption, of sacrifice, of salvation. That's not coincidence. That's divine design. This is why demons tremble at that name, why nations rise and fall around it, why no other name under heaven carries this kind of authority, because YHWH is not just a name. It's the blueprint of God's love. It reveals that before the foundation of the world, before sin entered, before the fall of man, God already had a plan to redeem you. He wrote the cross into his name. You see, when life breaks you down, when shame tries to hold you hostage, when your past screams louder than your faith, you need to remember who he is. And when you know who he is, you start to remember who you are. Because you were made in the image of YHWH, crafted by the hands that would one day be pierced for your freedom. This is more than history, it's identity. And the world has tried to bury it, silence it, confuse it. But God is awakening a generation to remember that his name is not weak, not vague, not passive. His name is power. It's personal, it's prophetic. It speaks of a Savior who didn't just speak truth, but became truth. Who didn't just talk about love, but was nailed to a tree to prove it. And here's the most powerful part. That name, once feared and hidden, is now written on your heart. You carry it. You reflect it. Every time you rise when you could have quit. Every time you forgive when it would have been easier to hate. Every time you worship in the storm, you declare his name. So don't take his name lightly. Don't reduce it to a phrase. Don't treat it like punctuation. That name holds galaxies together. That name split the Red Sea. That name heals the sick, frees the captive, and silences the accuser. That name is a promise. Behold the hand. Behold the nail. He was, he is, and he always will be. Lift up that name today, not in fear, but in power. Not in tradition, but in truth. Because when you speak it with revelation, heaven responds, hell backs down, and your spirit is reignited. YHWH. Behold the hand, behold the nail. The cross was always the motive, and you were always worth it. In the ancient Hebrew language, the name of God was never something ordinary. It was sacred, holy, so revered that many wouldn't even pronounce it aloud. That name, represented by the four letters Yod, He, Vav, He, YHWH, is what we know as the Tetragrammaton. To the natural eye, these letters might seem abstract, just ancient symbols lost in the folds of time. But when we dig into the Hebrew meaning of each letter, a stunning revelation begins to unfold. One so profound that it prophesies the very heart of the gospel long before Jesus walked the earth. Each Hebrew letter carries not only a sound, but a symbolic meaning. Yod is the picture of a hand, an open hand extended in power or action. He represents behold, or to reveal, often used to draw attention to something important. Vav is a nail or a peg, a symbol of connection, fastening, or piercing. And the final he, again, means behold. When we bring these elements together, Yod, He, Vav, Ve paints a picture. Behold the hand, behold the... Let that sink in for a moment. Thousands of years before the crucifixion, God had written into his very name a prophetic declaration of redemption. The hand and the nail, behold them, see them, recognize them. That is who he is. This is not coincidence. It is not clever interpretation. It is divine intention. The very name of God speaks of sacrifice and salvation. He didn't just carry the cross, he was the cross written in human form. The name YHWH holds within it the mystery of the Messiah. It whispers the truth that the hand of God would one day be pierced, nailed to a wooden beam, so that mankind could be reconciled, that before the foundation of the world, the Lamb was already slain in purpose. The cross wasn't an afterthought. It was embedded in the identity of God from the beginning. The beauty of this revelation is that it doesn't just show us what God would do, it tells us who God is. He is not distant, detached, or indifferent. He is the God who chose to reveal himself through suffering, through love, through sacrifice. The same hand that formed the stars chose to be nailed for your freedom. The same hand that held the breath of life chose to be pierced so you could breathe grace. Behold the hand, behold the nail. This is the image of mercy. And what does that mean for eternity? It means your redemption was never uncertain. It was never a gamble. God didn't stumble into saving you. He planned it. He sealed it in his name. He wore it as part of his identity. That's how much you matter. That's how deep his love runs. You are not an accident, not a backup plan, not a problem to be solved. You are the reason his name speaks of nails and hands. You are the joy set before him. So when you say his name, don't say it lightly. Say it with understanding. Say it with reverence. Say it knowing that when you whisper YHWH, you are declaring the gospel. You are proclaiming the mystery that the hand was pierced and the price was paid. His name carries power not just because of who he is, but because of what he's done. And in that name is your freedom, your healing, your identity. The name of God was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to be revealed, just like the hands and the nails. Each Hebrew letter reveals divine truth. God wrote redemption into his very identity. The Hebrew language is unlike any other. It is not just a method of communication. It is a divine code, a sacred script where every letter is more than a sound. It is a symbol, a picture, a prophecy. Each Hebrew letter carries with it layers of spiritual meaning. When God chose Hebrew to reveal his name, YHWH, he wasn't just sharing a title. He was unveiling a mystery. He was embedding truth so profound that it would take generations to comprehend. And in that name, in every single letter, he wrote redemption into his very identity. The name YHWH is made up of 4 Hebrew letters: Yod, He, Vav, and He again. On the surface, they look like a simple arrangement, but each of these letters is a container of revelation. Yod is the smallest of all the Hebrew letters, yet it represents the hand, the divine hand of God, the symbol of power, work, and creation. It reminds us that the God we serve is not idle. He is active, forming, shaping, moving. He used his hands to form Adam from the dust, and later, those same hands would be nailed for our deliverance. Then we have He, which occurs twice. He means behold, to reveal, to open up something for understanding. It is the symbol of divine revelation, the invitation to see into the spiritual realm. It draws your attention. It shouts in silence, look deeper. This is not a coincidence. When God repeats something, it's not for drama, it's for emphasis. When He appears twice, it is as if God is saying, I am not hiding who I am. I am revealing myself to those who are willing to look. The third letter, Vav, represents a nail, a peg, something that connects two things together. It is a symbol of joining, fastening, or piercing. It binds heaven to earth, time to eternity, the natural to the supernatural. And And in the prophetic revelation of the name YHWH, this nail is not random, it is precise. It speaks of the cross before the cross was ever invented. It speaks of the piercing that would redeem mankind. It speaks of the Messiah nailed to a tree so we could be grafted into the promise. So when you bring all these letters together, Yod, He, Vav, He, you don't just see a name, you see a story. You see destiny. You see the very heart of the gospel embedded into the name of God. Behold the hand. Behold the nail. God's name reveals that redemption was not an afterthought. It was not plan B. It was part of who He is. He didn't just choose to save, He is salvation. He didn't just decide to love, He is love. His identity is inseparable from His mission. This is why His name carries power. It's why demons flee at the mention of it. It's why miracles break forth when it's declared in faith. Because His name isn't just a sound, it's a declaration, it's a weapon, it's a doorway. When you speak His name, you are speaking divine truth. You are calling on the God who wrote your rescue into His own essence. You are declaring that the one who created you also redeemed you, and His entire identity is wrapped in that promise. This is why you can't be disqualified. This is why your past doesn't hold more weight than His name. Because His name already accounted for your weakness, your wounds, your wandering. Redemption was built into the blueprint. Every letter, every symbol, every meaning cries out, you are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are bought with a price. And that price was sealed not just in action, but in identity. He is YHWH. And redemption is who He is. God's name is not just to be spoken, but to be understood. He prophesied the cross through His own name. God's name is not merely a word to be recited in ritual or spoken out of habit. It is not a title to be tossed around casually or a phrase used to fill silence in prayer. God's name is a revelation, a prophecy encoded in ancient letters, a declaration of His eternal plan written long before time began. In the Hebrew language, every letter carries a visual, a symbol, and a message. And when you examine the name of God, YHWH, Wav He, Vav He, you don't just see an identity, you see a divine forecast. You see the cross hidden in plain sight, long before it ever stood on Calvary. The Hebrew alphabet is rich in meaning. It's a sacred language where every letter paints a picture, tells a story, unveils a mystery. Yod, the first letter in the divine name, is shaped like a hand, a symbol of action, creation, and divine power. This is not just the hand that formed the world. It is the hand that would later stretch itself out to be pierced for our sake. The hand of God, small yet mighty, is the beginning of the name that would save nations. The next letter is He, a symbol meaning behold or to reveal. It's like a spotlight in the spirit, a call to attention. When God uses He, He is saying, look closer. There is something here I want you to see. Then comes Vav, the sixth letter, which represents a nail or a peg. It is the image of something driven in, something that connects or binds together. It is not a random symbol. It is exact, precise, and prophetic. A nail in the center of God's name. And then the final He. Once again, God says, behold. Put it together, and you get this. Yod, He, Vav, He. Behold the hand, behold the nail. It's not a poetic coincidence. It's not a stretch of the imagination. It is a spiritual truth written in the very identity of the Most High. Before Jesus was born, before Rome invented crucifixion, before any man ever considered what it would mean for God to take on flesh, God had already declared it in His name, the hand and the nail, the revelation and the redemption. The cross was never a reaction. It was the original intention. This is why the name of God carries power. It's not just a label. It's a message. It's not just history, it's prophecy. Every time His name is spoken with understanding, the atmosphere shifts. Because when you speak YHWH with faith and knowledge, you are declaring the gospel. You are calling on the God who wrote salvation into His very being. You are reminding darkness that the nails did not destroy him, they revealed him. To understand his name is to understand his heart. He didn't wait for sin to catch him by surprise. He didn't scramble for a plan when humanity fell. The cross was already in his nature. The moment he revealed his name to Moses, he was not just saying, "I am that I am." He was saying, "I am the God whose hands will be nailed to redeem my people." He was saying, "My love is so deep, so unrelenting, that I will carry the sign of your salvation in my very name." This is why you can trust him. This is why you can rest, even when life feels uncertain, because the one who holds your future is the same one who built your redemption into his identity. His name doesn't just reflect who he was, it proclaims what he would do. And he did it. He fulfilled his own prophecy. So now when you call on his name, you're not just reaching toward heaven, you're calling on a love that wrote the cross into eternity. Behold the hand, behold the nail, behold your salvation. You are made in the image of the one whose name is power. Live like it. You were not created by accident, not formed out of random dust with no design or purpose. You were made intentionally, carefully, and powerfully in the image of the one whose very name speaks life, whose breath sets stars into motion, whose voice splits seas and raises the dead. The one who declared, "Let there be light," and watched the darkness flee is the same one who shaped you, molded you, and stamped his likeness upon your very soul. You were made in the image of power, of purpose, of glory, and it's time you started living like it. From the very beginning, God didn't just create humanity, he mirrored himself in us. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. That wasn't poetic language, it was divine blueprint. It was a royal signature pressed into the clay of your being. You were meant to reflect him, not just in your form, but in your function. His creativity, his authority, his compassion, his righteousness, his power, all were meant to radiate through you like sunlight through stained glass. You are not common. You are not average. You are the echo of a divine voice that never stops speaking. Identity. The same God whose name is YHWH, the God whose name reveals the cross, whose name holds mysteries that baffle scholars and pierce the heart, is the one who made you. His name means, behold the hand, behold the nail. His identity is not just in what he does, but in who he is, a redeemer, a savior, a king, who writes prophecy into his name and fulfillment into your future. You bear the image of that God. That's why the enemy fights you so hard. That's why your past tried to bury you. Because if you ever woke up to who you really are, if you ever stepped into the truth of your identity, you'd become a threat to every lie, every chain, every stronghold. Living like you're made in his image means more than quoting scripture or going to church. It means walking in boldness. It means standing up when fear says sit down. It means speaking life when death is all around you. It means laying hands on the sick and expecting healing. It means forgiving when bitterness wants to stay. It means loving like Jesus because his DNA is in your spiritual bloodline. You are not just trying to be like him, you were born to reflect him. When you live timid, when you doubt your worth, when you settle for less than what God said, you're not just dishonoring yourself, you're denying the power of the one whose image you carry. His name is power. His name is healing. His name is authority. And that name has been written over your life like a banner. You are covered. You are called, and you are chosen. You are a vessel of divine fire, a carrier of heaven's glory. Don't live like you're ordinary when the extraordinary lives in you. You were made to walk like a child of the King, not a prisoner of your past. You were made to pray with expectation, to live with conviction, to rise with resurrection power flowing through your veins. Every time you doubt yourself, remember whose image you bear. Every time you feel weak, remember that your origin is divine. You come from greatness because you were made by greatness. This isn't self-help, it's soul truth. This is not hype, It's holy identity. You were made in the image of the one whose name causes demons to tremble, whose name heals the broken, whose name sets captives free. So stop walking in defeat when victory is your birthright. Stand tall, speak boldly, love fiercely, live purposefully. Because you are not just anybody, you are the reflection of the Almighty. In its time, the world saw him through you. When you understand the name, you understand your worth and his plan. There is something sacred about a name. A name carries identity, legacy, meaning, and intention. But when it comes to God, his name is far more than just a title. It's a revelation. His name is not random, not accidental, not just a sound in the air. It is power, it is prophecy, it is purpose. And when you truly begin to understand the meaning of his name, something begins to shift in your soul. You begin to see yourself differently. You begin to understand your worth, not through the lens of your mistakes or your past, but through the lens of divine design. His name doesn't just tell us who he is. It tells us who we are and where we're going. The Hebrew name of God, YHWH, is unlike any other name ever spoken. Each letter in Hebrew holds a visual symbol, a picture that carries depth beyond human understanding. Yod, the first letter, is the image of a hand. Hey means to behold or to reveal. Vav is a nail, a peg, a symbol of piercing. And then hey again, behold. When these letters are put together, they unveil a message hidden in plain sight. Behold the hand. Behold the nail. This is not poetry. This is prophecy. God wrote the crucifixion into his own name, embedding the message of redemption before the foundation of the world. When you understand that kind of intentionality, you begin to realize that your life is not random either. You are not a mistake. You are not a burden. You are not a lost cause. The same God who encoded salvation into his name also wrote purpose into your life. The same God who declared the cross in his identity is the one who called you, formed you, and is still working in you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, not because of what you've done, but because of who he is. And who he is lives in his name. Understanding his name means understanding the weight of his love. It means recognizing that God didn't wait until you were perfect to love you. He loved you knowing your flaws. He loved you with the nails already in mind. He loved you when you didn't love yourself. His plan for your life isn't based on how good you are. It's based on how good he is. And his goodness was declared in his name before you ever took your first breath. That name speaks of grace. It speaks of sacrifice. It speaks of purpose so deep that no failure can cancel it. And if his name is laced with that much prophecy, how much more must your destiny be? If his identity is written with such care, how much more must he care about yours? You are not disqualified. You are being refined. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. You are not worthless. You are worth the hand and the nail. You are the reason his name carries the power of the cross. When you embrace that truth, you stop chasing validation from the world. You stop trying to earn love that's already been given. You stop shrinking to fit spaces God never called you to occupy. You begin to walk in confidence, not arrogance, but holy confidence. You begin to speak like someone who knows heaven is backing them. You begin to dream again, to believe again, to live with the boldness of someone who understands their value. So study his name, meditate on it, let it speak to your spirit. Because when you understand the name, you don't just learn theology, you discover identity. You don't just uncover history, you unlock destiny. His name reveals his plan, and in his plan is your purpose, your power, and your promise. And that changes everything.